Demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Is this the title?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It looks like the Clippers are going to need some time to get used to not having James Harden in the lineup. In their first game since Harden was traded to Cleveland on Tuesday, the Clippers lost by 31 to Cleveland Wednesday night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Harden was not in the building. Had he been in a Cleveland uniform last night, things would have been even more uncomfortable for the Clippers. Darius Garland, the player the Clippers got from Cleveland in the trade, sat at courtside last night in street clothes. He got a nice reception from Clippers fans when he was shown on the video scoreboard. Garland is recovering from a foot injury. He's waiting to be cleared by the Clippers medical staff to make his debut with his new team. The Lakers are back home tonight after a 5-3 road trip. They play Philadelphia at Crypto.com. First home game for the Lakers since January 18th. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
You got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Munell, Dion Cole, and Martin Lawrence with a surprise guest appearance. A limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon remain, so now would be a good time to head to KBLA1580.com to secure one for yourself. That's KBLA1580.com.
Take his wedding day, never watched it. Now every day he watch it every day, but he watch it in reverse. Because he said he loves seeing himself take that ring back off of that finger, walking back down that aisle.
Resilience and achievement. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
White diamonds, 2 a.m. she wildin'. She sick, got they stomach in her comments. What school you went to? Gardena, Compton, Westchester, King, Drew, did we function? Lil, what that dog give me, that's on pup. All my kids, I'll sock you up. Have you ever took a fade and ran 3 more back to back? Oh, you haven't? Then shut the up and keep it rap. I'm from the land, don't say you hate LA when you don't travel past the 10. Am I tripping? Yes, I am. Meditate over some money. I see Franklin, I find Van. I'm from the land. Don't say you hate LA, but live in LA and pretend. My neck on Tarantino, Alejandro Spike Lee. Just know you took the scenic route if you stand by me, stupid.
So fly in this 50 on me, don't die trying it. You know I'm up and down when I slide in this. Beamers and the jets outside in this. West side, get the money, yeah, that's for sure. Streets don't love you, better respect the code. Ain't no sleeping in on Sunday. If it's about the money, then my don't go.
When I walk in, low, yeah, break neck. It's unanimous, high pop.
When I walk in, better get in check. You looking at a bad, nothing less.
Walk, 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 tip, toe, pivot.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to talk about trauma. And I'm just laughing because I think I was traumatized by the last call. So Dr. Micah's here in the nick of time. We're going to talk about, this is something he specializes in, but it's a word we hear thrown around a lot, but I don't know how deep our understanding is. Dr. Johnson is an associate professor in the Department of Family Medicine at the UCLA Geffen School of Medicine. He specializes in trauma, behavioral health, and community-driven research. He's an award-winning scientist and an activist who's trained over 20,000 individuals worldwide on topics around trauma, mental health, social justice, and peace building. He's also an actor, producer, and member of the Screen Actors Guild. Dr. Micah Johnson, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Good
in.
morning. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, good morning. So, trauma. You know a lot about it. This is your wheelhouse, as they say.
Yes.
Let's get like a working definition here.
Well, at its core, it's an experience that makes a change in the body. It makes a change. That's sort of like where we land. There's consensus around that definition. So it's an experience that causes some adverse change in the body. And that's why you have these physical trauma. If you're a trauma unit in a hospital, it's because there's been some sort of change in the body, some harm, some damage done to the physical body. And psychological trauma works the same way. There is some change within the body is the consensus. But it really is beyond that, because sometimes you don't notice the change, or sometimes the change isn't as apparent. Sometimes it's very quiet, very silent, very subtle changes. But so I extend the definition, and I really grab onto the definition of it's any, negative experience, or if it's a deeply disturbing, beyond the threshold of just stress or inconvenience, but this is a deeply disturbing experience that sort of causes some fundamental reaction, whether it be noticeable or not noticeable right away. So you have historical trauma, you have collective trauma, you have types of traumas that won't have a reaction until later on, delayed reaction trauma, delayed response trauma. So that's sort of like where I would want folks to start thinking about trauma.
When you say you don't notice it, that's interesting, because I feel that as Black folks, we are trained to suck it up, keep it moving, don't be no punk. And so maybe we're trained not to notice it. Right.
It becomes culture. Like the trauma and the trauma response becomes a part of culture. I think that's rooted in this history of folks not caring about your trauma. I mean, what's the point?
Right.
The trauma. If the trauma was intentional, you can't go to that person and expect them to want to hear you out. And I think that's rooted in historical trauma and the way trauma became a way of life, a part of the Black experience. In fact, some folks define Blackness as the Black experience. So your Blackness is this experience in the context. And without that experience, that's why folks say, is he Black enough? That's what they're getting at.
So it means that if you don't have trauma, you lose your Black card?
That's what folks have been trying to do for a long time. They still do that today.
Yeah,
I
think that's right.
You make it too far in life. If you carry yourself with a little too much of this, then folks say, oh, well, is he black? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but that's all. I think that's all just rooted in that historical trauma. I mean, it's not really our fault. We just have this, African Americans and Black folks in general have this experience that's global and it's historical and collective. And so that's our foundation. So we kind of lean too much on that to define ourselves and gauge each other. But the truth of the matter is, trauma really isn't skin. So you can look at the most beautiful, successful person. They could be carrying a lot. They could be dying inside. They could have a horrific life. They could have horrific experiences. So you can't gauge it like that.
You really can't. And when people so-called snap, or, we say they crash out, we think it's a sudden thing, but more than likely it's something they've been dealing with or managing, right, for a long time.
Absolutely. So when I think about trauma, I think about that acute reaction you talked about. Sometimes it's immediate acute reaction, depending on someone's sort of threat processing systems. But sometimes trauma is just these subtle things. I didn't sleep that well. I had a strange nightmare last night, or I kept sort of thinking about that experience over and over, or it's like, you ever wake up and I didn't these are some of the ways by which it starts to get in the body. You may not even know what's going on. Or it could be, you just, you think you're good, you're golden, but you just find you're a little off equilibrium a little bit. And that's how some of the stress and trauma starts seeping into you. Some folks think they're immune. Oh, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, we're tough.
Yeah.
But you say it's not our fault, and that makes sense. I mean, you can take that back to enslavement. To your point, if someone's doing it to you on purpose, you can't expect them to try to heal it. It's not our fault, but it could be our opportunity, right? In terms of redefining blackness in a way that doesn't make trauma mandatory.
Right. Black folks have been doing that since the beginning. I mean, since, a lot of the folks that were around during the colonial period and during these times of, genocide and enslavement, they were defining blackness as beyond that.
Our ancestors were.
Yes,
doing
our ancestors
that.
were doing that. If our ancestors could literally, this week flee a plantation and next week be called free man, and now call me free man, we could sort of learn from that. I mean, they really didn't wear it. And some of them secretly held on to who they were, held on to their culture, their mores, their stories, their dignity in a private way just to maintain survival so we can all be here, right? So we could learn from our ancestors. Our ancestors were extraordinary people. So
my great grandfather, Enoch Archie, apparently was enslaved. When they were, emancipated, he went on and became a county commissioner. And so that's to me, I said, oh, our family's always been overachievers. But hearing you talk about it, it says to me, well, he wasn't going to be defined by the ultimate trauma, which is enslavement.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. But, the reason why I say it's not our fault is because it really is it really takes a superhuman ability to do that, to psychologically break free. So that's sort of like an extraordinary gift and superpower.
So not a given.
It's not a given to do that. That is an extraordinary superpower. So if folks think that you can just kind of wash off slavery and not that, then you don't understand. You don't understand what it is.
Right.
Like, this is a 24/7 torture where it's designed to rip you of that dignity and that identity and that self-awareness and that connection to who you are. Otherwise, you would never put up with it. You would fight to the death. So that it's designed to strip you of that.
Right.
It quite beautifully and brilliantly. Many years perfecting the method of how to make a slave. So that's why I said it's not your fault, but also it's also not that easy too.
Just shake it off.
And so back then, it's extraordinary. These people, wow. I mean, you look at your ancestors, you say, oh, wow, since day one, they've been pushing against that. So it's not all of us that have sort of defined blackness in this really sort of trauma-based way. There have been folks that resisted that, but I do understand why, because at the end of the day, it's all you know. It becomes a part of the experiences. This is all we know is this.
I mean, is there a healthy part of that that's like shared trauma? Because I feel like some of that definition of defining our blackness by our trauma is just connecting with other people that have similar experiences, and being able to just give that nod or that look, like there they go with the microaggression. You know what I mean? And kind of having, it's almost like, no, we're not crazy. We're both seeing what we're seeing.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. It does, there's some scholarship where folks talk about some of the racism and some of the perks of it, of being a victim of racism and exploitation.
A weird way of putting it, perks.
Right. So they talk about, he's like, oh, well, you get this sense of communal experience, this sense of family and brotherhood, if you will, or sisterhood, if you will. I think that is a blessing in a way, but also you bond to other communities and cultures that have these very similar experiences, right? You can identify and develop empathy for other strugglings. There's something very Trail of Tears like of what we see happening today. And if you understand as a black person how the Trail of Tears looked very transatlantic slave trade like.
Right, when they marched all those indigenous folks. Yes. Yeah, when President Johnson marched all those indigenous folks off their lands.
Yes. And folks suffered and died, and they were deported from their lands. And so if you're in tune with some of that, ways in which your people have been exploited, you have that connection that gets you off your butt and gets you paying attention and gets you a little bit more engaged of other folks struggling. And then you start to really understand how this thing just keeps recycling itself. It's really not about morals or modern. It's a ancient spirit of conquer and control of folks. And that's what we're living through the day. And the Native peoples and Black folks and a lot of groups understand that very well in the Americas.
Dr. Micah Johnson is my guest. It's Black History Month. Want to understand historical trauma, what it is, how we fight it, more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley. The tools to hold a meaningful conversation should not be reserved just for a privileged few. It is a skill our world desperately needs in every community, at every table. So I'm pleased to announce the Founding Members Scholarship Program for my online course, The Art of Conversation, in 4 different categories. The Community Builder, for those who serve others, the Rising Voice for emerging communicators, the Bridge Builder for underrepresented perspectives, and the Determined Scholar for those facing financial hardship. If finances are the only barrier between you and this training, well, let's hurdle that barrier. We're accepting applications right now at TavisTalks.com. That's TavisTalks.com. The priority deadline is February the 10th. So visit TavisTalks.com right now and let's build this table together.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that for Bree's car.
Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency. All over Bree's car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face. When it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy for Breeze. La 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 la.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
Dr. Micah Johnson is here in the studio. You remember last time he was here, he was talking about On-Site, that performance art film extravaganza that you did at UCLA. I understand it was a huge success.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Many of your listeners came out, and I really appreciate them. Some great folks came out.
Yeah, I wanted to go. It was one of those traffic jam weekends where I have 10 events in 10 minutes. But you have a film coming out of that.
Right. Yes. On-Site has been turned into a film, and it's currently under film festivals right now.
Okay. So you'll keep us posted.
Some prayers up for us, folks, if you're out there. Some prayers and positive energy for the universe.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you are in a show coming up right now called Red Harlem.
Yes. So I want to be the first scholar / actor.
I love that. Well, my dad might have beat you to that. I don't know.
Really?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, he wasn't a PhD though, so you might get the crown on that.
Right. Yeah. So maybe modern. I want to be the first modern.
Yeah, because wasn't Paul Robeson kind of a scholar too?
Yeah. Well, there was a lot back then. You had to be.
Oh, but they weren't scientists. You're a scientist. I got you.
Scientists, like
okay.
Active scientists.
There you go. There's a lane.
Scientific research and like the Black Bill Nye type for mental health.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So this is an extraordinary play. So folks send up prayers about the film. It's under review at these film festivals. But this play is remarkable. It's called Red Harlem. And it's about this really interesting time in Black history where you had Black folks like James Ford, who was sort of leading this Communist Party in New York and sort of trying to recruit Black folks, And then Russia sort of had these Black performers come out, and they were going to make a film called Black and White. And that the Communist Party was producing it. It was going to be filmed in the Soviet Union. And it's this extraordinary story written and performed by a bunch of great talent, Los Angeles talent. And it's just extraordinary. Yeah, it's a great play. I welcome everyone to come out. Yeah.
It's coming up next week?
Yep, we have our preview on the 13th, which I think is like only $10 for folks to come to the preview on the 13th. It's produced by the Company of Angels, one of the oldest companies in Los Angeles. So and they do a lot of great work over there. Look up the Company of Angels. They do some extraordinary work.
So the preview is the 13th. Valentine's Day is the opening. And this is, you're in it, you're playing Ralph Bunche?
Yes, you get to see me act as Ralph Bunche.
I mean, that's wild because we were talking off the mic, and speaking of Black History Month, people complain. We always hear about the same people over and over again. Those are important people, but the same people.
Yes.
Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman,
yes.
Martin Luther King. And Ralph Bunche, I think we don't talk about enough.
Yes, Ralph Bunche was an absolute rock star. He was... he wasn't one of those types of folks that you would want to market because he would cause a parade of folks who wanted to be like him. Ralph Bunche was sort of like he's the UCLA's Malcolm X. You know, that's who he is. He's the suburban Malcolm X. He's just as committed. He's just as concerned, but he was very calculated.
Malcolm X with a Nobel Peace Prize.
He's Malcolm X with a Nobel Peace Prize and with a PhD, and taught at Howard for many years. So this was an extraordinary, fearless brother, but he was very comfortable in his skin. He played basketball. I mean, he was a brother's brother, but he just, his experience, they didn't want, again, to the trauma-based black identity thing, they don't want Ralph Bunche being the poster child of what black men could be. I mean, because then everyone will be trying to
the man
UCLA.
literally helped create the UN.
Yes.
Which our president is now trying to dismantle.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah. And we're talking about the 50s, right?
Yeah, 30s. Well,
40s,
this play
50s.
takes place during this critical time, 30s, 40s, 50s, yes.
Right. So that's, it was a little harder back then to get stuff done.
These people, oh my goodness, harder to get stuff done is a good way of saying it. I mean, Ralph Bunche was pro, like, Palestine. I mean, these people were like...
I mean, his Nobel Peace Prize is for that, right?
Yes.
It's for the Arab-Israeli...
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes, and he was saying some stuff, y'all, that I see folks today are afraid to say because they have these things to lose. But he was one of the first black scholars being accepted in these spaces. He's a light-skinned brother, and he had to remind people several times internationally, I'm blackity, blackity, black, black.
Yeah.
And he just had this voice that was very calm. It was scholarly, but it was straight to the point, and it did not compromise. There was a lot of black power and like just fundamental truth in his voice, despite being in these spaces. It's really extraordinary.
Yep. Well, that'll be quite a challenge for you.
Yes.
So, folks, if you want to go, you can check out the Company of Angels, and that's taking place next week. So I hopefully I can come to that. I want to see you on stage. My question that I threw out before News, Traffic, and Sports was about historical trauma. We hear that. What does it really mean? And what should we be doing to process our historical trauma?
Well, so it's a type of trauma that has intergenerational and transgenerational effects, and it's collective. So it's like it's a mass trauma, and it's a trauma that has these effects by which it's passed down either through socialization, or it could be through biological, like epigenetic mechanisms. So it's passed down, or it could be passed down through folklore and horrific stories. So this trauma that's passed down from generation to generation, and it has these generational effects. So that's the idea of historical trauma, and it's something. It's for me personally, it's like metaphysical. You can feel it without really knowing. There's kids all over this country and communities and pockets where they don't really understand slavery. They don't understand, what genocide really means. They really don't understand mass incarceration and all these things, but they carry it. It's within them, even though they may not understand it.
Yeah, it's funny you'd say that, because when we go to Africa, I lead a group every year, and people say, oh, these African kids, they're so joyful, they're so respectful, our kids should be like that, and then they start talking smack about our kids. And I always have to say, whoa, hold up. Our kids are carrying Jim Crow. Our kids are carrying enslavement. Our kids are carrying all kinds of trauma, and I'm not a trauma expert, but I'll tell you right now, what we should be saying is, this is what our children might be like had they not been colonized and enslaved. Not to say that the African children haven't been colonized at all, but it's not the same as being the descendant of enslaved persons and being the descendant of Jim Crow. They're joyful, they're happy even with having very little, and it's just a different energy. To your point about that, something you can feel.
Yes.
And so I just don't feel like we should be blaming them for something they're carrying like that.
Right. Don't blame any of us for that. Some of our kids have joy, but you're right.
Yeah, well, sure, we find joy.
Especially the ones who are in these tough communities. They do not carry smiles like the kids in Africa.
I mean, and even if we are carrying, Baldwin Village, perfect example. Sure, there was plenty of joy, joking around. There could be one piece of pizza. They'd share it with every kid on the block. Everyone gets a square. And there's a lot of joy and a lot of love, but it's just not the same.
It's not the same.
Free and unadulterated joy.
The smiles are not the same. You're right. There's a light there and a brightness there with kids. And then you see, so you got to look and say, well, who else has this? And when you see these war-torn countries, they have that face, a dimness to that smile. Even when they smile, it's sort of like
so maybe that's one reason why our kids identify with the Palestinian kids.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, hopefully it's a human thing. Hopefully everyone can identify with that struggle. But yes, maybe. I do feel that, though. I think that's what we're getting at, too, about the trauma bonding. And like the connecting over that same, I know that look, And I do feel that.
But trauma bonding, we're told we're not supposed to do that.
No. Well, it's
But if all you know is trauma.
It's more of a trauma connect. We'll say trauma connection, because these terms have developed and evolved and have
You're
their
right.
own
They
sort
get
of
this
definitions.
popular meanings as opposed to probably the scientific meaning, right?
Yeah. But like just connecting or having empathy or recognizing something in someone.
Right.
Women do this thing, and it could be maybe it's metaphysical and spiritual. Maybe it's sort of like a small little tales that only you know because you've been through that. Women could detect when a woman is going through something, and no one else can know. It could be the biggest smile, it could be the brightest eyes, but women will say, let me pull her to the side and talk to her. Something's there, and it's like, oh wow, I don't know what you saw, but they can feel it and they can detect it. So I think that's kind of how it works too. It's like you don't know, but you know something's there. I know that look because I've had that look. I can feel that energy off of you. It's quite extraordinary. So yeah, those are some of so to go full circle, yes, that human connection is a little bit more strengthened when you do have people that have those types of similar experiences like that.
Yeah. Well, we're up against news, traffic, and sports. When we talk about historical trauma, obviously an event like a Jim Crow or enslavement, those are mass events that impact entire communities. And then we pass it on in so many different ways, as you pointed out. When I read Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy, I've found a few behaviors that she points out that I did. And I never would have connected that to enslavement or anything like that. I changed things about my parenting after reading that book. I guess the question we'll address after news, traffic, and sports is, how do we break those cycles? Or should we break the cycles? Are those protective behaviors that we still need? We'll look at that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says the southern border has never been more secure, speaking Wednesday in Nogales, Arizona.
But most of all, we thank President Trump for the guts and the love of this country to do the right thing.
She says the border is quieter than ever. A new JAMA study shows nearly 80% of adults with hypertension don't have it under control, a condition that hits Black Americans the hardest. About 58% of Black adults have high blood pressure, the highest rate of any group. Researchers say treatment should start earlier. And a Detroit Lions season ticket holder is suing Steelers receiver DK Metcalf, former receiver Chad Ochocinco Johnson, and several media outlets for $100 million. Ryan Kennedy says he was falsely labeled a racist and claims Metcalf grabbed his wig and swung at him during a December 2025 game. He also denies ever using a racial slur. Get BIN News now, on demand, 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It looks like the Clippers are going to need some time to get used to not having James Harden in the lineup. In their first game since Harden was traded to Cleveland on Tuesday, the Clippers lost by 31 to Cleveland Wednesday night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Harden was not in the building. Had he been in a Cleveland uniform last night, things would have been even more uncomfortable for the Clippers. Darius Garland, the player the Clippers got from Cleveland in the trade, sat at courtside last night in street clothes. He got a nice reception from Clippers fans when he was shown on the video scoreboard. Garland is recovering from a foot injury. He's waiting to be cleared by the Clippers medical staff to make his debut with his new team. The Lakers are back home tonight after a 5-3 road trip. They play Philadelphia at Crypto.com. First home game for the Lakers since January 18th. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
Dr. Micah Johnson is here, and we're talking about trauma, but the way that you teach, the way that you get people on board with fixing ourselves, I guess, healing is, I guess, the right word, ourselves and our communities is multifaceted, right? You're a professor at UCLA.
Yes.
You're acting and doing comedy on stage. You're producing films. You've got this play, Red Harlem, opening next week. So it sounds like you use every tool that you have to do what? What is the goal of all of this?
Right. So it's two goals. The first goal, I am at my core a teacher. So from a scientific perspective, we know what works. We conduct experiments and research to figure out how do we improve community health and public health. A lot of that has to do with information, just as well as medicines and prescriptions and therapy programs. So how do we, if I am a public health professional and a teacher at my heart, how do we get that information, the medicine, to the actual people? And how do we speak in a way that's rooted in culture, rooted in community, and rooted in the people, but whether it be infused on them, right? Or whether it be this, scholarly ivory tower type of thing that exists within academia and it doesn't really ever get to the people. There's a lot of resources pumped into science and health. There's tons of resources. How do we make that of the people, by the people, for the people type of thing?
And so that's where the comedy, the hip hop, the theater.
The hip hop, yep. And so how do we do that? We do that with these beautiful mediums. You have your culture, you have your community, you have your way of life, you have the voice of the people with their ideas and their brilliance, and you have the youth that have their own culture and their own thing going on. And how do you embrace that to be a part of the healing and the medicine? And so if you are a scientist and a scholar, or if you are a public health professional, you have to do that work of building those bridges. So yes, so that's one part of it, improving public health. The other part of it is it's for me too. What's my thing, right? So if we look at this thing as a family or a community, how can I contribute to the education, edification, and the health of our communities? Well, I'm an actor and a storyteller. And so I have to be true to who I am and my gifts. So at the end of the day, I'm down for the cause. I'll give my life for the cause. But allow me my indulgences in that in the meantime. Allow me my truest contribution would be storytelling.
Yeah. Well, of course, I think we should welcome that. I believe, and I come by it honest, that arts and culture are medicine. They are political. I don't see them, it's like self-care. I don't see them as indulgences. I see them as necessities.
They are.
And so I think the work that you're doing is really important, and it gives me comfort to know that you're doing that.
Yes. Yes.
So when we talk about historical trauma, right, and you kind of just outline what that looks like, what should we be trying to break these cycles, and if so, how do we do that?
Now, this is a really good question, and it really, it's nuanced in a way. So you have this experience, and let's talk just in the U.S. context, but there's a lot of Caribbeans, there's a lot of folks in the Black diaspora that have these types of experiences. But in the U.S. context, you have this thing that fundamentally shaped who you were, your names, your culture, your religion, your faith, all these different, the way, your day, when you were fed, what you ate, all these things. So now today you have folks defining Black culture, but what they're really describing is slave culture and the culture of the descendants of people who were enslaved in the U.S. So now that we know this, how then do we decide what parts of that do we need to be critical of and maybe eradicate, and which parts of that do we try to get back to Africa? The good part of it is a lot of Africa survives. A lot of, ancient historical Blackness, rhythms and traditions and mores, a lot of the culture survived, but a lot of it has been completely infected or infused with slavery and white supremacy in many ways. So should black people hold on to a slave sort of provoked or slave infused culture and define it as black culture? And I'll give you some examples. And I don't know the answer to this, because some of it is going to be a no. If you whip your children like they were slaves, you probably got that from that experience. And that's something you could probably be critical of. If you eat a certain diet of poor foods and heavy seasoning, and you probably had to season the heck out of it because it was not the most tasteful type of food. It was probably the poorest food in the South. I come from Florida. I'm a Florida boy through and through. I'm from Eatonville, Florida, first black city in America. Grits was like the thing. I mean, grits was my father's somewhere right now eating grits probably. But we could be critical of that. Is grits a black thing, or is grits, food that we kind of picked up as being oppressed people in the Americas? And can we be critical of that? Is that something we want to pass down and continue to adopt as a tradition? So these are the types of things we think about. For me, it goes down to, really understanding how much it impacted what we do today. And another thing I think that we could think about is this idea of being so aggressive with the people that's closest to you. Why are we so aggressive and unforgiving with our own? What is that? I think that is an artifact of slavery. I think the way brothers are quick to, when they look at each other, they change their face. Some of the nicest people in the world will run into a sister or a white person or whatever, a non-black brother, and they'll be disarmed. They'll be warmer. They'll be kinder. They'll be more forgiving in that interaction. But when we come to us, there's a sense of defensiveness and aggression and a lack of empathy that I think it is a little bit of that anti-blackness in our minds, that we're so aggressive with each other, and we have this harsh tone, this harshness between, especially black men, very harsh with one another. I think that's a byproduct of enslavement.
Mm. Jerry Anderson says you can't break a cycle until you know you're in a cycle. Morris says we all identify with underdogs, but he says, what else do we bond around besides being collectively disenfranchised? I say arts, culture, love, beauty, courageousness, a lot of things we have that we do that, I'm talking about collectively right now.
Right. But it's kind of like the unavoidable thing, because if it was something that once was, I think folks, yes, I get it. It's like, all right, there has to be other things that we bond and share over. We are a lot of like culturally, that's how it works. But it's kind of unavoidable because it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So if we were talking about just something from the colonial period or something from the 60s, then we would be say, okay, all right, we gotta change. We gotta move on. We're talking about stuff from the 60s and stuff from the 26s.
Right.
We're talking about stuff that's happening now.
Right, ongoing, yeah.
So it's like, it's hard to, it's like the elephant in the room, and it's like, if you don't address the elephant, some folks feel like, are you in this room with us? Are you here with us? Do you get it?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're universal. Our community is very universal. So there's many ways to connect.
Jacqueline Anderson says she's making grits right now. And Morris wants butter and sugar on his. No sugar on grits. No.
I don't know about that.
That's a no. That's a no.
I don't know about that. But again, I'm a Florida boy. I don't know.
Yeah, out of Florida man in the studio.
Yeah.
Help. So we talked about collective trauma as in historical, and family is a form of collective trauma too, right? The things we pass down, the patterns we pass down within our own biological families.
Chitlins. Sorry.
That's very traumatic for some, right? But I guess the question here is this an individual project, or does it have to be a family or community project? In other words, can I go see a therapist and read all the self-help books, which I do, and do all the little workshops and things, and heal myself if I'm not healing my family? Is that really healing?
I think it is.
Really?
I do. Yeah, I think it's a part of the process because for many reasons, but each one teach one. And this work, all of it starts with self. Everything starts with self. There can be no community, collective therapy, collective healing until individuals start to heal. There shouldn't be couples therapy until you have a therapist yourself. All right. So, I mean, sure, couples therapy is better than no therapy, but you get my point. It's like, I feel like individuals that is a part of the process, but collectively, right? So one reason I say it is because I think individuals may need to start within themselves first. They need to equip themselves first, put the mask on themselves first. You cannot save anyone if both of you are drowning. You can't save anyone who's drowning. You certainly shouldn't try if you're drowning yourself. But also because family is some of the hardest work. Uh-huh. That's the hardest work. No yes, prophet is heard among their own. And so that may burn people out.
Well, some family systems folks say, well, if I heal the kid and put them back in an unhealed family, that goes away, right?
Right.
And so, it sounds like you're saying put your mask on first,
right? Because
you can't save the family if you don't save yourself.
Yes, and I say that because a lot of people think that some people don't understand how much of them has to improve. Some folks think they got it all. I got it all together. It's really my kid and that crazy person in the other room, or
right.
that crazy person on the other side of the bed. But there's a lot of work to be done within individuals. There's a journey there. Everyone has a journey: the individual journey, the family journey, and the community journey. Now, it would be great if you could do like this mass collective community and everyone heals, and that would be great. But I think that individuals have to go on this phenomenal, empowering journey of, this is my own personal development and growth journey. This is what I'm on, outside and beyond family and community.
I feel like, as a mom, when we do heal ourselves, we model that for our kids, even if they roll their eyes and act like they're not watching. So there's that part of it too, right? And but I mean, I guess, like you said, couples therapy is better than no therapy, right? Collective is better than nothing. But it sounds like you're saying we need to take responsibility, starting with ourselves.
No, yes, but I think what I'm saying is, let's not discard that individual journey and that individual work. I think folks are so quick to go to the community level interventions, family level interventions, couple level interventions, when it's like, there's a lot of stuff you need to do for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta get going.
Cav Haynes says, are black folks a monolith though? I don't think we're saying that, Cav, because we can't even agree on what goes on grits. So clearly we're not a monolith.
Yeah. Or if we should even eat grits, or if grits are great or not great. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Yeah. People say that a lot. This group is not a monolith. That goes without saying. I think in order to have a conversation, you got to look at the patterns though. You got to sort of like try to generalize a little bit. Otherwise we would just be talking about outliers all day and deviations. So it is tough, but so forgive us at the risk of being overly simplifying very complicated, nuanced matters. But I think it holds true. I think folks get where we're going with it.
And the other thing is, if everybody was impacted by Jim Crow, that's historical trauma, right? We might all not react to it the same way. There goes the not a monolith part. But we're still all unpacking or trying to heal the same collective or historical trauma, right? However, whether we do it with, weed and tequila, or whether we do it with actual therapy, or whether we just try to suck it up, be tough, and pretend, healing is for white folks, we're all dealing with that same trauma, right?
Yeah. Yes. So this is a really good point, and it's at the risk of becoming a little bit scientific. So, let's think of trauma at an individual level, then we'll scale it up, right? So at the individual level, you have trauma and stress. Everyone here listening to my voice has it. Everyone not listening to my voice has it, right? Then you have, in effect, some reaction to that trauma, right? But some folks have protective factors, and this is like the most important words I'm ever going to say. And this is this is why I get paid the big bucks. These two words I'm going to say right now: protective factors, right? And then other folks have risk factors. And that is the fundamental question in child psychiatry. Why do some folks, even those who experience the same types of horrific traumas, why do some succumb and others do not? Why do some have these severe consequences or severe reactions and others do not? Well, it's in the the concept of risk and protective factors. This is the foundation of my work. So that's at the individual level. Twin studies, incredible studies. You'll have twins that will have the same experience, but they may have very different reactions and life outcomes from the same impetus or the same trauma. Why is that? Because they may have different risk and protective factors. So protective factors are those things you have that block the effect of the trauma.
So even within the same family, same womb, same set of twins, one can have protective factors that the other one doesn't have, and one could have risk factors that the other one doesn't have. That's fascinating.
Absolutely. And that is the core of the why. So why do we have these different outcomes? And that's going back to the if the monolith is in reaction to the trauma or referring to the trauma, that is the why. That's the why. Some people may say, I'm not affected by that at all. I'm balling out of control. One, you could not understand how it's impacting you. Sometimes it's invisible. Or two, you may have protective factors that have blocked you from those adverse consequences. For example, some people may say, was Ralph Bunche suffering? He was a UCLA scholar. He won a Nobel Peace Prize. Ralph Bunche had extraordinarily strong protective factors, and he had a quiet suffering that no one really knew about. So those are my responses there. So, and then those risk factors, oh God, these are ones that exacerbate the effects.
Right.
They exacerbate
more vulnerable, right?
Now, not only are you hurting, you don't have the risk. If you don't have the risk factor, the risk factors themselves may directly link to whatever that adverse consequence is, or amplify or trigger the effects of the historical trauma. In epigenetic studies, this is extraordinary. In epigenetic studies, you can actually have a gene that is linked to a certain outcome. You can have the gene, but if you have protective factors, that gene will never express itself. But if you have those risk factors, the risk factors can get within your skin and affect how that gene is expressed, such that now that gene becomes dangerous. So that's at the individual level, and it's really cool scientific stuff. But if we scale it, we all have this foundation. We're all rooted in this blackness. Why do some people seem to be thriving? They may have access to protective factors that are extraordinarily strong and effective, and they may have a deficit of those protective factors. Others may have a deficit of protective factors, but a plethora of risk factors. And that's why you see kids going in very different directions. That's why some parents don't understand why one kid is this way and another kid is that way. That's why some mothers really struggle with boys versus the girls, and vice versa. It's because of this assortment and this allocation of risk and protective factors in the same types of contexts and environments.
Dr. Micah Johnson is my guest. We're talking trauma, and we'll continue when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned, homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized, the families who watched their inheritance disappear, the wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
LA Metro invites you and the whole family to a free community celebration on Saturday, February 7th at the Metro Willowbrook Rosa Parks Station in Watts. Enjoy live music, local art, and delicious food vendors as we celebrate culture, community, and good vibes. Come out Saturday, February 7th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Metro Willowbrook Rosa Parks Station. Don't miss it.
KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vid. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
All right, Dr. Johnson, you're going to have to come back because I would love to do a whole show about the risk factors and protective factors. Because, as parents, as mentors, as community members, we want to help build up the things that help young people and ourselves and try to minimize the things that are problematic. And is that something we can do?
Absolutely. And that's something that I'm working on right now. That's the core of my work. It's what I do. I live it every day. And I want folks to know I'm working on free resources. So follow me on Instagram, drmicahjohnson.com or Dr. Micah Johnson on Instagram, and just write out the word doctor. My name is M-I-C-A-H, like the Bible, M-I-C-A-H. So follow me. So when I finish this book, I'm going to be giving away for free at different events around town. I'm going to come on here. We're going to have a discussion about it. But these books are sort of going to be, again, I'm giving away for free, so it's not like you don't have to buy anything. But they're going to be a map toward how we use this information about risk and protective factors to fully improve the folks around us and ourselves. And once you understand risk and protective factors, you'll understand a lot more about yourself and your family, the people you love, and then how to kind of think about them so that you can reach your potential and reach ultimate health and wealth, whatever that means for you.
Yeah. Wish we had another hour because I got a lot of questions now that you brought that up. But Red Harlem opens Saturday the 14th. The preview is the 13th. It is Fridays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. And Sundays at 3, going through March 15th. Company of Angels in Boyle Heights, 1350 San Pablo Street. And I'm sure it's on your socials, right?
Yep. It'll be on my socials. And I just want to give a personal invite for folks to come on out. It's a little bit, it's a couple $, but it's free parking. So
hey, free parking is always great.
Plentiful parking. So come by and personally support me. I'm in love with the city. I'm in love with the community. Thank you for welcoming me with open arms. I should have came here a long time ago. But I would love if you would come out and give me some love and support. Shout out to the Ben Free Project that came. They were listening and they came out to the show. Be Fast, firearm safety instructor. He was a listener and came out to the show, and he was just a great brother. I just want to say that them and a bunch of other folks came out to see on site, and I want to invite people to come out to Red Harlem and be my support system for that, and then I'll continue to do the good work that you're hearing me talk about here on air.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming in, and thanks for the work you're doing. Tavis Smiley's up next. You guys know that. He's got a bomb show for you today. I saw the lineup. I can't remember it, but you don't want to miss it. Like my father, the late, great Amiri Baraka, used to say, a man is either free or he is not free. There could be no apprenticeship for freedom. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says the southern border has never been more secure, speaking Wednesday in Nogales, Arizona.
But most of all, we thank President Trump for the guts and the love of this country to do the right thing.
She says the border is quieter than ever. A new JAMA study